Welcome to video number 5 on KDOT's training topic about corridor point naming convention, where we continue our discussion about the feature identifiers in the naming convention. Following the geometry feature major and minor identifiers, the next identifier in the structure of the naming convention is the material identifier. You can see it here. It's the third field 333 in the format. And the material identifier is exactly what it sounds like it should be. It is identifying the material type of the feature that the corridor point is a part of. So this is an optional field. This is not mandatory. Certainly if the object that the corridor point is partly representing is ever and only made from one material, it might make sense to just leave that blank. Some designer discretion there is allowed. But when it makes sense, and certainly when there's multiple options available, pavement might be a good example for that, it can be helpful and beneficial to include the material identifier. And you'll see here that we have some major or some standards already developed, and that's a list that will continue to grow with your help and contributions. The fourth identifier is the travel lane identifier, and we're using cardinal directions that we typically use to refer for different travel lanes. So we have northbound, southbound, eastbound, and westbound in our standards. In addition to that, if we have multi-lane facilities, we can use designations such as NB1, NB2, NB3, etc. I'm sure you guys can appreciate and understand where we're going with that. The travel lane identifier is another optional information field. It's not a required, it does not require a value for each corridor point. The fifth information field in the naming convention is the additional identifier. And this one's a wild card, if you will. So it's at the designer's discretion to use this as an information container for attaching information or attribution to a corridor point or to the feature that corridor point is a part of, for any situation they encounter in the design project. So there is no standardized values for this one because it's a wild card, so to speak. We're deliberately not going to have any standards there. But you certainly, within the examples that we're going to be showing, you can see some areas or some ideas of how we've used it, within the ITL file in the workspace. The additional identifier is also an optional information field. It is not required to have a value.